Have you ever wondered why the US dollar became the most powerful currency in the world, controlling everything from the smallest daily transactions to global political decisions? Behind its simple appearance lies a complex system and financial weapons that make the whole world cautious. In today's episode of Kunzy Podcast English, we will uncover the little-known secrets of how the dollar became the global currency and why it matters more than you think. Join me, Kunzy, as we begin this journey to reveal surprising mysteries about the power of the dollar. SWIFT, America's silent financial weapon. Imagine a weapon that doesn't fire bullets, doesn't drop bombs, yet has the power to bring an entire nation's economy to its knees. Overnight. It's not a missile. It's not a fighter jet. It's something much more silent and much more terrifying. It's called SWIFT, the global financial messaging system that allows banks around the world to send and receive cross-border payment instructions. Think of it as the nervous system of global finance, moving trillions of dollars every single day, connecting over 11,000 financial institutions across more than 200 countries. Every international transaction, from oil and gas to gold and basic goods, passes through SWIFT. It's invisible, yet vital. And here's the twist. The United States doesn't own SWIFT, but it effectively controls it. Thanks to the dominance of the US dollar in global trade, Washington holds the hidden power to decide who stays in the system and who gets cut off. So what happens when a country is kicked out of SWIFT? It's not just a sanction. It's a financial death sentence. The nation is cut off from global commerce. It can't buy. It can't sell. It can't access international funds. Investors flee. Its currency collapses. Panic floods the markets. The economy plunges into darkness. Take Iran, for example. In 2012, the US and Europe pressured SWIFT to disconnect Iran over its nuclear program. The result? Iran was suffocated. Its banks couldn't communicate with the global financial system. Oil exports, the lifeblood of the economy, were paralyzed. The Iranian rial plummeted. The entire economy fell into a deep crisis. Then came Russia. After launching its invasion of Ukraine in 2022, major Russian banks were banned from SWIFT. The ruble tumbled. Western corporations exited in droves. Russia was forced to switch to the Chinese yuan and alternative payment systems. But the damage had already been done. SWIFT doesn't explode. But when used as a weapon, its impact can be as devastating as any military strike. And this weapon sits firmly in America's hands. For one reason only, the US dollar rules the global financial system. But why? How did the dollar rise to such dominance? Why is the world bound to play by rules written in Washington? And how did the US manage to use its own currency not just for trade, but to punish, pressure, and force adversaries back to the negotiation table? It all began with a secret deal, a series of quiet handshakes, and a clever strategy that started nearly a century ago. We'll uncover that in the next part. Weaponizing the US dollar. When money becomes a sword. Did you know that the most powerful weapon in the modern economic battlefield isn't missiles or tanks, but the US dollar? It's not made of steel, but of trust. The global financial system built around it. When the US wants to punish a country, it doesn't need to mobilize armies or fire a single bullet. All it takes are clicks to freeze assets, block transactions, and cut off trade. Such moves can turn a superpower into an economic ghost overnight. The U.S. has wielded this weapon many times, forcing global corporations to flee markets, freezing foreign reserves, all without declaring war. The message is clear. follow our rules, or disappear from the financial system. This terrifying power makes many nations uneasy, wondering, will we be next? Could our economy be suddenly strangled? That's why a quiet revolution is underway, called de-dollarization. From China, Russia, Iran to Brazil, these countries are seeking ways to break free from the dollar's control. They're building new financial systems, trading in their own currencies, to no longer be choked by the dollar weapon. The world is quietly preparing for a new era, where the dollar no longer sits at the center of financial power. Can anyone replace the strength and trust of the greenback? Or is this just a race before the U.S. delivers its next decisive strike? The real financial war has only just begun, and in the next part, we will explore why the U.S. dollar became the most powerful force on the planet. The de-dollarization revolution, when the world seeks to escape the shadow of the U.S. dollar. The world is witnessing an unprecedented transformation in global finance. The de-dollarization revolution is spreading rapidly, completely changing the way countries trade and conduct international commerce. This is no longer a distant future story, but a reality unfolding right before our eyes. China and Russia, two superpowers often seen as America's top rivals on economic and political fronts, have aggressively reduced their dependence on the U.S. dollar. They have not only shifted a large portion of their trade transactions to the yuan and ruble, but also built their own payment systems, avoiding U.S. control. This seriously shakes the dominance of the dollar on the global financial map. But it doesn't stop there. The BRICS group, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, is nurturing an ambitious plan to create a new common currency for international transactions among members, aiming to reduce reliance on the USD. If successful, this would be a breakthrough that breaks the dollar's monopoly in global trade. Another remarkable example is Saudi Arabia, a country that once dominated the oil market with the petrodollar system, where all oil transactions were priced and settled in U.S. dollars. However, in a strategic turn, Saudi Arabia has started accepting both the yuan and rupee for oil transactions, signaling a new era for the global energy market. India, a rapidly growing economy, is also joining this movement. It has signed trade agreements using the rupee with Russia, the UAE, Bangladesh, and many other countries, strongly promoting bilateral trade outside the dollar framework. Moreover, the emergence of central bank digital currencies, CBDCs, is opening a new era in international transactions. Countries are racing to develop and implement CBDCs to create new payment systems that are faster, more transparent, and most importantly, free from the dominance of the US dollar. Can this revolution completely change the balance of global financial power? Will the dollar be pushed down from its throne? The answers will gradually unfold as the next moves of these major powers are announced and implemented. In the next part, we will dive deep into why the US dollar became the global dominant currency, the hidden power behind it, and why so many countries want to escape its influence. Are you ready to uncover the secrets? Why does the US dollar still hold its dominant position? Trust is the key factor that cannot be overlooked in why the US dollar continues to dominate globally. In a world full of turmoil, economic crises, political conflicts, and financial upheavals, the US dollar is seen as a steady beacon where countries and investors confidently place their assets. The stability of the US economy, the largest economy in the world, along with a transparent legal system, strong political power, and highly developed financial institutions creates a protective shield for the dollar against major shocks. This trust is not just talk. It has been proven over decades through multiple global financial crises during which the U.S. remained strong and continued to be the center of the international financial system. This is the critical difference that makes the dollar the safest currency that everyone is willing to hold. Alongside trust, the habit of using the U.S. dollar in international transactions is a strong gravitational pull that few notice. From massive trade contracts and international loans worth billions to complex financial transactions involving investment, insurance, and payments, almost all revolve around the dollar. It is not just a currency, but a common standard, a language that economies use to communicate with each other. When most partners use the dollar, switching to another currency is not only complicated, but involves huge risks, requiring rebuilding entire financial networks and international contract systems that have operated smoothly for decades. Because of this, the dollar creates a strong loop. Everyone uses the dollar because they know others do, and breaking this cycle is very difficult. Looking at current alternatives, you'll understand why the dollar remains the unchallenged king. China's renminbi, despite its growing strength, along with China's global economic influence, is still tightly controlled by Beijing, with strict regulations limiting its international convertibility and use. This forces other countries to carefully consider before widely adopting the renminbi in international trade. The euro, though the common currency of many wealthy European countries, faces internal political instability, prolonged financial crises, and economic disparities among EU members. This reduces the euro's appeal as a stable global currency. Cryptocurrencies, with their extreme price volatility and lack of regulation, have yet to meet the role of a reliable long-term payment or value storage tool. Therefore, although many countries are striving to reduce dependence on the dollar, a process called de-dollarization, the reality is that no currency currently has the financial power, trustworthiness, and global network to immediately replace the dollar. The dollar remains the center of all international transactions, the gatekeeper for the smooth operation of the global financial system. This means the dollar's position will remain strong at least in the short term until a historic event, financial shock, or revolutionary change reshapes the global monetary power balance. Have you ever wondered what would happen if the dollar lost this status? Would a new currency rise to replace it? Or would the world enter a completely new financial era beyond our imagination? This is the fascinating story being written every day right now on the map of global economics and politics. The allure of the dollar lies not only in its material value, but also in the hidden power it holds, a power that can shape the fate of nations and the world economy. And you, as the observer, may be the one to witness the next great transformation. Impact on people around the world. Did you know that the strength of the US dollar doesn't just affect banks or financial markets, but deeply impacts families and individuals across the globe? When the dollar strengthens, something that might seem like a mere currency fluctuation suddenly causes the prices of imported goods in many countries to soar. Gasoline, medicine, food, essential items in daily life become more expensive, placing heavy financial pressure, especially on people in poorer and developing countries. What's even more alarming is that these countries cannot simply print more money to cope. because doing so would trigger runaway inflation, causing their local currencies to rapidly lose value and worsening the situation. Dependence on the dollar creates a dangerous cycle. When the U.S. raises interest rates, investment capital flows out of weaker economies, their local currencies collapse, and dollar-denominated debt balloons, leading to severe debt crises. Countries like Sri Lanka, Pakistan, and Ghana have experienced these crises, facing devastating economic and social consequences. So, the power of the dollar is not just about money or influence. It is a silent force that can reshape the fate of billions worldwide. And that is truly something worth reflecting on. The far-reaching ripple effect. Have you ever wondered why the prices of gasoline, gold, or even food fluctuate so unpredictably? The secret lies in the power of the US dollar, the currency that controls most global markets. When the dollar strengthens, everything from crude oil to rice, from precious gold to coffee, is immediately affected, causing prices to rise suddenly and unpredictably. Interestingly, during these fluctuations, the wealthy can flexibly move their assets to protect themselves from crises. Meanwhile, ordinary people, from small business owners, international students, migrant workers to travelers, feel the shock waves when the dollar exchange rate shifts. They have to spend more, face higher living costs, and have far fewer chances to adapt. This is the deep-reaching influence of the dollar, not just a currency, but an invisible force that triggers massive impacts in every corner of global life. Do you think you truly understand the full power behind it? Solutions being implemented. Faced with the overwhelming power of the US dollar and its unavoidable consequences, many countries have begun proactively seeking financial escape routes to protect themselves from excessive dependence. They no longer just sit and endure, but are quietly building ambitious and innovative financial strategies to minimize risks and strengthen economic sovereignty. One of the most important steps is accumulating dollars as a form of insurance in national reserves, ensuring safety amid international market fluctuations. But this is only the beginning, as they want to go further. Promoting trade in local currencies between countries has become a prominent trend, helping reduce reliance on the greenback and retain control over money flows. Not stopping there, many nations are also ahead of their time by developing and launching central bank digital currencies, CBDCs. A revolutionary step that could completely change how international payments and transactions work, ushering in a new era without dependence on the dollar. Additionally, bilateral currency swap agreements are being signed en masse, creating parallel financial networks that allow countries to exchange directly without going through the US dollar or traditional payment systems. Alongside this, the development of independent payment systems, bypassing the dollar, is quietly underway, creating new, sustainable, and safer financial runways for the future. All these solutions are not just simple financial tactics, but a silent revolution reshaping the world's financial order, casting serious doubts about the long-term dominance of the US dollar. Could the future be a multipolar world where the dollar is no longer king? The answer is unfolding day by day. And do you want to explore this thrilling journey together? Central Bank Digital Currency, CBDC, the game changer. That's redefining global finance rules. In a rapidly changing world, a new weapon has quietly emerged that could overturn the global financial order that has existed for decades. Central Bank Digital Currency, or CBDC. Unlike the cumbersome traditional transaction methods relying on the global messaging system SWIFT, CBDCs enable instant, direct transactions without any intermediaries. This is not just a breakthrough in speed and efficiency, but also sparks a revolution in how the international financial system operates. What makes CBDCs truly special is their programmability. Transactions are no longer just money transfers, but can be precisely monitored, controlled, and directed at the individual level. This allows governments to track money flow with unprecedented transparency, greatly reducing tax evasion, money laundering, and other illicit activities. However, the downside is that personal privacy nearly disappears, as every financial move can be fully exposed under strict control. Imagine a Nigerian student studying in Germany, no longer waiting days or going through complicated bank procedures, instantly paying tuition fees using e-Naira, Nigeria's official digital currency. Cross-border transactions become no longer a far-fetched dream, but a vivid reality, ushering in a new financial era where flexibility and speed reach their peak. But CBDCs are more than that. They are tools helping countries reduce dependence on the US dollar, the currency that has dominated the world for over 70 years, and could shatter its monopoly in the international market. With technological power, will CBDCs be the springboard for a full-scale de-dollarization that changes the balance of financial power worldwide? Can superpowers maintain dominance if the dollar loses its top spot in global transactions? The global currency game is at one of its most critical crossroads in history. CBDCs are the key piece, the trump card many countries are secretly deploying to rewrite the old rules and create a new financial order, faster, more transparent, and full of challenges. Are you ready to embrace this revolution? Because once CBDCs spread, the world will never be the same again. The People's Revolution, Crypto and DeFi. Today, a financial revolution is quietly unfolding, not only in central bank boardrooms, but right in the hands of ordinary people. Bitcoin, Ethereum, USDT, and thousands of other cryptocurrencies have become powerful tools helping individuals break free from the tight control of traditional financial systems, where the US dollar and big banks dominate every transaction. Thanks to blockchain technology and DeFi, decentralized finance, users can transact directly without intermediaries, gaining more freedom in managing assets and avoiding the strict barriers of international sanctions or capital controls. This promises a fairer and more transparent financial system, where power is no longer concentrated in the hands of a few. However, despite its great potential, this revolution still faces a major paradox. Most cryptocurrencies' value is still priced and exchanged based on the US dollar. This means true independence from the shadow of the dollar remains a distant dream. Will crypto and DeFi fully gain autonomy and become a real alternative to the dollar in the future? Or will they remain part of a system still controlled by the US? The answer will determine the future of the global economy and the dollar's power on the world financial map. The core of money. Trust money is not just paper or numbers on a screen. It is a symbol of trust. A trust shared and agreed upon by society. When people believe in the value of money, they are willing to use it to buy, invest, and store wealth. However, when that trust is shaken by rampant inflation, unexpected wars, or economic crises, the currency quickly loses its value in people's eyes. At that moment, money no longer serves as a safe haven. People start searching for new refuges to protect their assets. It might be gold, The traditional investment channel, long regarded as a store of value over time. It might be real estate, a tangible asset that helps hedge against the devaluation of cash. Or it could be cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin and Ethereum, rebellious challengers to the traditional financial system, promising greater freedom and security. This volatility of trust keeps the financial world in constant instability, forcing humanity to closely watch every shift in the currency landscape. So, when trust in the US dollar, the most powerful currency on the planet, begins to waver, what will happen? Is the global monetary game entering a new era, or will the throne still be held by the current giants? That is the mysterious story the whole world awaits with bated breath for the next unfolding chapters. The US dollar, a currency that might seem like just a piece of paper printed with presidents' faces, yet it silently controls every aspect of your life, from rising gas prices, soaring college tuition fees, to your job opportunities and entrepreneurial dreams. You might not realize it, but the power and status of the dollar are shaping the world in ways few fully understand. If you grasp the rules of the game of global currency, you won't be left behind. Instead, you can protect yourself by arming your mind with sharp knowledge, learning to save wisely, investing at the right time so your money works for you, and, most importantly, knowing how to ask the right questions to demand transparency and fairness from your government's financial policies. Understanding the power of the dollar isn't just about knowing a currency. It's about equipping yourself with the strongest weapon in the ongoing global financial battle happening every second. This is the key to maintaining your position and not being swept away by unpredictable fluctuations. If you want to dive deeper into this mysterious and fascinating story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss the upcoming videos. Together, we'll turn knowledge into power, helping you feel more confident on your financial journey.